Welcome to the Great Loop aboard the Perch. I'm Kim Russo with America's Great Loop Cruisers Association, and this is leg 63 of our Great Loop adventure. Today we're going from Chicago to Joliet, so several milestones and several noteworthy things along this route. So I want to pause for just a minute on this map where I don't usually do that, but I just want to point some things out to you. We left Chicago, went into the lake, and headed for Hammond, Indiana, which is the start of the Cal Sag. That's an alternate route instead of taking the Chicago River, and I'll explain more about each of these noteworthy things as we follow our track. But you can see those red stop times. Those are where we had some stops. At about 10:32, we were waiting on a bridge. At 11:52, there is a lock there. That is the O'Brien Lock and Dam. Continued on, you can see kind of our point at 2 o'clock, and a little bit to the west of where we were at 2 o'clock, you can see the word Palisades on the map. Just below that, you can see our route turns to the port side a little bit, and that is where the Chicago River meets this route. It is after the meeting of those two rivers that you see the word Lamont on the map, and Lamont is the location of the lowest fixed bridge on the Great Loop. So I'll give you some of those numbers, as I said, as we go through here, but you have to be able to go under that bridge to do the Great Loop. There's also a fish barrier here. It's an electrification in the water that is supposed to help prevent the migration of invasive species, so I will point that out. Continuing on, there is another Lockport, before we arrived at Joliet, where we would spend the night with, 8 or 10 other looper boats on the Freetown Wall there at Joliet. So that's kind of an overview of the path and some of the highlights, but I'm still going to mention some of those as we go through. We pulled out of DeSable Harbor in the heart of Chicago bright and early on a beautiful sunny day. You can see, you just saw an old fireboat there that's used as a tour boat. That large boat is actually the home of the Columbia Yacht Club. And we headed out, as you can see, past the mooring field here and out through the breakwall. That next harbor you see a little bit in this picture upward was Burnham Harbor, another close to the action kind of marina you can pick. And those pictures there where as you cruise along the lakeshore there, you will see Soldier Field, you'll see the museum campus. And we are taking this short journey on the lake, about the first hour of our trip, because we're going to take the Cal Sag route. And in addition to that, we are stopping at Hammond Marina, which is an AGLCA sponsor. They are there in Hammond, Indiana. There's a big casino on site there. But our primary reason for going there is for fuel. The fuel price was between $1.50 and $2 a gallon less than it was at the Chicago marinas. So when you're taking on several hundred gallons, huge savings just by making that extra stop. The other noteworthy thing is that there at Hammond, Michael finished his second Great Loop, so he earned his Platinum Burgee. So we raised that flag and took some pictures before heading back out and turning into the Cal Sag. So that is where you take that turn into the rivers off of the Great Lakes if you're taking the Calumet River route. There are several bridges on the Calumet River on this Cal Sag route. Some of them you'll be able to clear, some of them you won't. Because there are so many, I'm just going to warn you to take a look at your chart, your navigation information to find out which ones you need open. That one where we waited for quite a bit actually was charted at 19 feet, which we could clear. But we were hearing rumblings that was actually a little bit lower. The clearance was a little bit less right now. Called the bridge tender, and she assured us it was 19 feet, and we kind of crept closer and realized there was no way we were going to clear, and heard from some tow captains that, yeah, it was only about 17 feet right now. So use caution. This is the Thomas O'Brien lock, the first lock you will go through on the Cal Sag route. If you go through the Chicago River route, you'll go through the Chicago lock, but not the O'Brien lock. So just a couple of route differences here. But we are winding our way through this very curvy river. I mentioned the difference between the two routes. If you are going through the Chicago River, stunning view, you will go through the heart of downtown Chicago. You do need to be able to clear bridges that are charted at like 17 feet and some change. So if you can clear those, it's certainly a lovely route to take. If you cannot, you'll take this route that we're taking, which is the Calumet River to the Chicago Sanitary Canal, also known as the Cal Sag route. These two routes are going to merge together, and we're actually getting pretty close to that place where they merge. We'll see that in the video here in just a second. And shortly after they merge, you will get to the lowest bridge on the Great Loop where there is no alternate route. So there's where the rivers come together. And the Lamont Railroad Bridge is charted at 19.7 feet. I gave a little bit of commentary as we went through. So this is it. This is the lowest bridge on the Great Loop that does not open. You can see we're squeezing under, and we've got some barges parked here as well. So it is 19.6 feet. The Perch is 18 plus some, so we should probably have about a foot of clearance as we go under. If not, we're making a big U-turn. That would be disappointing. Squeaking under. Well, we made it. A couple inches to spare on the antenna. That would have been just fine. So that was it. That was the lowest fixed bridge on the Great Loop that you must go under. Any other bridge that is lower would open, or there's an alternate route around. So you have to be able to clear that 19.6 foot bridge. Also near there is the electrification barrier. You can see the sign there says danger, that the water is electrified and you can't get in the water. That is there because it is an effort to stop the migration of Asian carp, which is an invasive species. There's also another sign when that ends. And then this is the Lockport Lock. We joined several other looper boats who had been waiting there for many hours. We were all able to get off the boats, tied to the wall. We did not have as long of a wait as they did because we were behind them, but we eventually got into the lock. That is a picture of the floating bollard. That is how these Corps of Engineers locks typically work. More on those coming in some future videos, but as we got out of the lock, it was about 7 o'clock, so we were starting to get concerned about reaching Joliet before dark. There's a series of about 4 bridges between the lock and the Joliet free wall, which is where we're tying up, and we made it just as the sun was setting. The Joliet wall, we found it to be a good stop. It is completely free, including electric. The wall is in rough shape. You can kind of see it in that picture, so you're going to want to have some good fenders out. You know, perhaps consider some covers for your lines to prevent chafing there. There had been some security issues here in Joliet at the wall, but we felt very safe. There was a very strong police presence. I spoke with some of the officers, and they said they were there to make sure that we all felt safe and comfortable, which was so much appreciated. So thanks to the Joliet Police Department for that. We found it to be a nice stop and a good end to the day with lots of looper boats company. Our overall trek for the day, we were en route for over 8 hours. It was kind of a long day because of that lock wait. We traveled over 55 nautical miles, averaged 6.6 knots per hour, and our maximum speed was about 10.1. So all in all, a great day on the loop, one full of milestones and very enjoyable. Thanks for watching.